The next presentation will be made by Ralph D'Souza, Senior Regional Manager, Bentley Systems India. He is responsible for the plant industry for Bentley, covering oil and gas, chemicals, mining, and power utilities in the South Asia region. In his current role, he has been assisting owner-operators and EPC companies with their digital strategy. His professional experience spans 17+ years in various capacities in the software industry, focused on process and power plants, of which he has spent 10 years with Bentley. Please welcome Ralph.
Thank you, Sharda, and a very good morning to all of you. It's indeed a pleasure to be here at this 16th ARC conference. And what I'm going to share with you in the next half an hour or so is how Bentley has been helping companies across the world achieve operational excellence through the connected data environment. So Mr. Raman in his presentation this morning has already set the stage for the day. And while I'll be focusing mainly around the oil and gas industry, this is equally applicable to every other industry and asset type. So digitalization, I mean, we've been speaking about this all day yesterday. And even in the oil and gas industry, digitalization is becoming a buzzword. But just about 2 years ago, we had some of the leading oil and gas companies like BP and Shell who were actually conveying their digital strategy to their supply chain and pleading with them to give them the data so that they could improve their performance, their operations, their construction. Today, we see that there are a number of digitalization projects and pilots that are happening, and there are those who are not on board are feeling that they're going to be left behind. So they need to do something urgently and with much speed, be it whether they are the owner-operator or part of the supply chain. Now, one of the analysts that kind of tracks the oil and gas industry is Gartner, and they come out with kind of top 10 trends in the oil and gas industry. And what they observed is way back in May 2017 that digitalization was very slow in this industry as compared to probably the manufacturing industry. And come August, they were putting out this particular advice to all CIOs to get a move on, because there were 3 things or moments, if you would like to call it, that were happening almost simultaneously. The first is digital awareness by the CEO. So now digitalization was being talked about within boardrooms, and CIOs were being invited to participate in these discussions. The second is the triple tipping point, requiring CIOs to actually prepare and anticipate for significant industry disruptions that would change business models and see digital technology drive efficiency, agility, and intelligence. And then finally, a shift in IT expectations, compelling CIOs to accept a whole new mission, a mission that would probably disrupt the IT organization's very operating model, and then adopt new technology that can drive efficiency. So as you would liken that, come 2018, and in fact, just about in May, they released another report, and what we have seen is digitalization is now the #1 priority, even in the oil and gas industry. And what's important to note is that this is being driven not by IT, but by the business. However, Gartner has also identified that while there are some successes with the pilots, scaling these successes has been one of the major challenges. So talking about scalability, Bentley has been helping many companies globally scale, and we believe that strategic partnerships are the key. Interoperability today is a given, and we need to do it well and in real time. So if we look around us today, especially with Bentley, Bentley is all about interoperability. In fact, what we are doing with Siemens, and a lot of that was discussed even yesterday by my colleague Anne-Marie, with Siemens we are at the forefront of real-time interoperability. Also, another aspect is the cloud. That is also being discussed a lot. It is slowly becoming accepted. Oil and gas industries are accepting the cloud, and they're also looking at Microsoft as a strategic partner to help them with securing and managing their information. And again, another buzzword is also, the Internet of Things. We are seeing a lot of operational analytics and machine learning, and how can we make sense of all this IIoT? And the statement by the CEO of Schneider kind of sums it, emphasizing the impact that IIoT is going to have today and in the days ahead. So Bentley believes in strategic partnerships, and it is with these strategic partnerships that we've been helping oil and gas users globally and in India scale. I have cited some examples here on the screen, and I'll talk a little bit more in detail on these use cases as we go ahead in our presentation. So how has Bentley been helping our users scale? At the heart of what we offer is the connected data environment. This leverages the cloud and also supports both project delivery and collaboration for projects and asset performance for operation and maintenance. It provides a shared digital context, especially with 3D models that can be geospatially located, as well as digital components that enable and support the sharing of information across different systems. The connected data environment also supports digital workflows, both from Bentley as well as from third-party application. And all this is happening in real time, and no matter how big or how large your data is. And the connected data environment need not be isolated only for the oil and gas industry. This is pretty much applicable for any industry or asset type, be it civil infrastructure like roads, rails, and bridges, as well as for other industries like power and water utilities, and even smart cities for that matter, where Bentley is actually involved in all these infrastructure industries. So what is the connected data environment, and why is it important? So let's for a moment look at this particular problem or this question that a person on the shop floor would need to answer or encounters on a daily basis. So just look at the number of systems that are supplying information to answer this question. So in effect, he would need all these systems and all these tools to be able to address this problem. But what happens is, more often than not, this information is available in silos which do not talk to each other. In fact, then finding information becomes a challenge. There's an industry survey that says engineers spend almost 40% of their time only looking for information. Again, the information may not be up to date or inconsistent because a change in one system needs to be propagated across all the other systems. How can we ensure that the data related to our facility, our asset, is up to date and consistent? This is the kind of problem that the connected data environment is trying to solve. So then, with the connected data environment, what can I achieve? Here's just a simple use case that we are seeing. Take, for example, this maintenance engineer. He's walking on the shop floor, and he has a geo-aware tablet in his hand, which shows him the 3D model of the equipment besides which he's standing, with all that rich data and information associated with that equipment. The tablet also is able to give him insight into the health of that equipment from the real-time sensors that are installed on the equipment, and then also prompts him for some additional visual inspections. Now this engineer can go and take out photographs, he can take some thickness readings, vibration monitoring, some oil samples, and then this tablet, which is connected to the asset performance management system, throws out alarms should that equipment be tending towards failure. So this is the kind of use case that is actually driving Bentley's connected data environment. So the big and important question is, how do I get there? Well, the answer is there's no silver bullet. It takes and requires a few steps to be taken. But the good news is that you can get a lot with all the data and the information you have today. You don't need to start from scratch. What's important to understand is, what are the business goals of my organization? Where are the main pains that I'm facing, and where can I achieve quick wins? Once I understand that, I start beginning to model my business. I then look at, do I have some standards in-house which I can use to support what I am doing? Or can I look at industry best practices or other standards which are available today? Most of you must have heard of industry standards like ISO 55000. This is an asset management kind of a framework. There's ISO 15926, which talks about data interoperability. And there's BS 1192, which is also a specification for information management. Now, once I have that, I need to understand how change happens and how I can manage that change, and then decide which software tool I need to support all this. Do I need to begin with asset lifecycle information management so that I can, organize all my data? Or if I have a good maintenance management system that has good data, can I now extend it to a reliability-centered approach? Or do I have good operational data that helps me get better insights and analytics with regards to my assets? So these are the kind of decisions that we will make as we go on this journey towards the connected data environment. Now, most of our users who have adopted this connected data environment have begun with the asset lifecycle information management so that they can organize the data and then save time and costs with regards to finding information, helping engineers spend more time on solving problems. So when we talk about the asset lifecycle, almost 80% of the cost is incurred in the operate and maintain phase. And therefore, it is important to manage the reliability and the performance of our assets. By optimizing the processes that are used to run the day-to-day operations of my assets, I can significantly reduce the operational costs and thereby improve the productivity and in turn the profitability of these assets. And that's where the connected data environment plays a key role. So I talked about a standard, BS 1192. Now this is a specification for information management, which is more focused on the operation and maintenance, but it also talks about the application of BIM, or Building Information Modeling, and brings out all the 3 levels of BIM, which means that this is not only important for the operation and maintenance, but extends throughout the life cycle of the asset, right from the design into construction and into operation and maintenance. So BIM Level 1 essentially is about modeling the data in 2D, could be my PNIDs, schematics, or in 3D. So these are not just pretty pictures, but have intelligent information or data associated with the graphics. Then we come to Level 2, which brings in the 4th dimension of time and the 5th dimension of cost, which we refer to as construction modeling. And I'm pleased to share with you that Bentley has now announced the acquisition of Synchro software. This is a 4D construction modeling package that helps in advancing BIM Level 2. So look out for more on Synchro in the years ahead, in the days ahead as well. And then when we look at BIM Level 2 and construction modeling, we can also simulate the entire sequencing of our construction. We can actually look at detecting issues, at finding clashes much before they happen in the field. So we are able to take the decisions on a virtual model right there in the office. Now this is just an example of installing a new equipment in an existing plant, and we can actually visualize the clashes much before we go into the field so that we can make the necessary adjustments before we go into the field. And then finally, we look at BIM Level 3, which brings asset performance modeling, which extends the model from the design and the construction phase so that now we can use it in the operations for better decisions for maintenance and operations, lifecycle engineering. What it also brings to the fore is geo-coordination and reality modeling. Now this becomes very important, reality modeling, especially where organizations do not have any CAD data or 3D data available with them. As Anne also spoke, this is becoming mainstream today in most of the industries, and we believe that reality modeling is a viable way of capturing the as-is information. Today we have technology that can be used to both make a hybrid approach. You can get laser scans as well as photographs and combine them to create an information-rich 3D reality model. And the process is pretty simple. You can either use drones or handheld cameras. Today, this, as I said, is becoming mainstream. We are seeing a lot of projects are using reality modeling, and we believe this is a good way of capturing the 3D as-is conditions of our plant. And once we have this reality modeling, what can I do with it? I can now go into the model, identify equipment based on the geometry or based on their location, I can tag the equipment, and I can add all the rich information to this particular equipment. So now in the context of a reality model, I can visualize all the engineering information, the operational information. I can also visualize all the documents associated with that particular equipment, be it the SOPs, some work orders, past historical information. This becomes an intuitive way of working with the data within the connected data environment. And so the connected data environment actually aligns with all these BIM Level 3 standards that I just talked about and leverages asset information modeling, driving asset performance throughout the operable life. So I've tried to kind of give you a flavor of what the connected data environment is all about and how you can actually start off, towards this process, towards this journey. Now, what about the successes? And so this, in the next few slides, what I'm going to share is I'm going to share some use cases where some of our users have leveraged the connected data environment to actually gain success. One of them is BP. So BP has been a very old user, old-time user with Bentley, almost 20 years. When BP actually came to Bentley, they were looking for a system to hand over information from projects to operations. So what they did is they standardized on the data that they would require from their supply chain, and then asked the supply chain to work on any kind of engineering tool that they were comfortable with. Using the Bentley technology, they were then able to extract all that information, validate that information, and bring it into a normalized data store, which they called as the CIS, or the Central Information Store. Today, BP has standardized on the AssetWise ALIM in the cloud using Microsoft Cloud Services. And this is one good case where Kazan, which is the project I've identified, actually won a Be Inspired award last year. And they were able to use the CIS on that Kazan project. And just before they won the award, Kazan actually went on stream. It went ahead of schedule and under budget. And the head of operations of BP on this particular Kazan project went on record to state that it was the integrity of information that he had in the CIS system that was responsible for the success. This is just an example of a company scaling using the Bentley's connected data environment. You may also recall this press release. This is from 2016, where Shell and Bentley announced a global framework agreement. So Shell has standardized on the Bentley technology for construction management. They are using ConstructSim and the connected data environment to create advanced work packages, which they can then use to visualize and look at progress, how it is happening across their projects. In 2017, Nick Smallwood from Shell, he actually presented at one of our conferences, and he spoke about how the technology is helping them create value and also improving collaboration across projects. And what Shell did is, they created a small video, so that based on the success that they had with the technology on a chemicals plant in Louisiana, they created this small video so that they could get all the stakeholders, their other projects as well as the supply chain on board. This is what they had to say.
Project Vantage is a suite of tools that enable our construction management processes. It really makes our people a lot faster by automating a lot of the stuff they would normally have to do by hand. From an owner's perspective, it also allows us to see that data so we know where we are on the job at any given point, and allows us to really focus in on where potential issues are and get involved where it makes sense. 4D 5D is the next iteration of the 3D model. 4D integrates it with the schedule so you can see how the plant is going to be built over time. And then 5D is when you start getting into visualizations with different pieces of data. So we can actually color the model based on what material is here on site and what material is not on site. And this enables us to very quickly look at what packages are available to work and which ones are not, and where we might have to look into our procurement side of things to see what needs to be expedited.
So we can go in and pick a few pieces of pipe and it builds the packages in a quarter of the time that it takes to build a manual package. It gives us everything that is required to do an installation work package in the field.
Once the material is received utilizing the tablet, we're able to print an orange barcode sticker. From there, we can take it and put it into a designated location. Once the item is placed into that named location, we know where to go get it when it's time to be sent to the field. Prior to the system, we had to actually go back through a filing cabinet and dig through each vendor's file to see if that item has been received.
The Project Vantage data-centric ways of working, it really allows for increased collaboration, especially in the field. So rather than having to walk back to the office to look at something or to try to understand how things are going to be built in the field and where, you have all that information at your fingertips.
So we modified the relevant work process such that we had a view in the future and we knew exactly what was coming towards us. We had a 30 days constraint-free backlog of work where we could start working and that we were ever certain that the resources had enough materials and work to be done in the most effective way possible. At Tiger AO4 we have a gold medal target, and so far we're moving in the right direction.
So we're really optimistic that these tools are going to get us there and help us achieve the gold medal target that everyone's committed to on this project.
And now Shell has also, kind of embraced the reality modeling, especially for monitoring progress on, on a daily basis as well. This is another use case, another example, South Australia Water. South Australia Water is also leveraging the connected data environment where they are able to bring together information from different sources, in-house systems, external systems, so that they can now predict the demand for their water, as well as reduce energy cost, resulting in significant savings.
In South Australia, SA Water has introduced predictive and real-time operational analytics through Bentley's Amulet software, improving customer service while reducing operating costs.
I think the tools we've developed here are an example of the sorts of things that will be very common in the future in industry, especially industry with large asset bases where you've got complex things to operate. It allows you to take a variety of inputs and make the best possible decision. In our case, we've got some sophisticated optimizers we use that Amulet sits around, and it makes a big difference to the way we organize our network and how effectively we can operate.
And so in summary, the connected data environment has been helping our users scale across the enterprise. It uniquely converges the information technology, the operation technology, and the engineering technology, providing a platform where you can make or build an asset strategy for improving operational excellence and getting superior asset performance. We believe we have the right technology and the partners in place to help you on this journey, and we look forward to helping you achieve operational excellence with the connected data environment. Thank you very much for your attention.